The Episcopal Church did not start out as being an abolitionist church. And the Episcopal Church, for a variety of reasons, was able to survive through the Civil War and come back together as a church that had not officially divided over slavery. That is technically correct. The reality, of course, is the Episcopalians in the Confederate States decided to form an Episcopal Church. So they did divide. We might not, the diocese in the North might not have acknowledged them, but there is a prayer book for the Confederacy, for the Episcopal Church in the Confederacy, right? And they, of course, had their convention, right? So even them, in the midst of all of that, at least they had some semblance of democracy that they had inherited from the formation of the Episcopal Church and General Convention. I think when I look back on the history of the Episcopal Church, that when Episcopalians got back together after the Civil War, that there were a lot of things happening in the country. The country had gotten a lot more complicated, but I always feel that they were a little embarrassed by not have taken positions on these important national issues. And one of the things you see if you start to read the journals of General Convention is more and more of the discussion about national issues. Not always resolving them, not always coming up with a conclusion, but talking about them. And then into the 20th century, of course, more and more. The theology of the Episcopal Church was very much influenced by the theology of other Protestant churches, very much influenced by the theology of the social gospel, and more Episcopalians wanted to see themselves as not only a church that worshiped using the Book of Common Prayer, but took the Book of Common Prayer and turned and used it as a guideline for how they should live out in their life and work during the week into the years. It's interesting that one of the big influences for the Episcopal Church in that were ideas about the relationship of the liturgy to mission and work in society that was growing up among what we now call Anglo-Catholics, by the high church movement that began in the 19th century, who had that as a key part, at least, of their written theory and their written theology. So all of this came together. And in all of this coming together, the form for these discussions did not have to significantly change because it was democratic. And so all you had to change were who got elected to come.